Utah's housing crisis is like a giant game of musical chairs.
But the ads inherently tell the public that they need to allow more houses to be built.
I think the ads inherently say that supply is a major issue.
Yes, Utah has a housing shortage. Some call it a crisis. So why is the state spending $2 million to tell you that? How do you feel about being described as part of the problem with Utah?
It's not like we're being educated and then we get to choose. We're being educated so that we don't resist what's coming down from the state level.
I'm Fox 13 investigative reporter Nate Carlisle. Here's how a newly formed organization received $2 million without going through the standard contracting process to tell you there's a housing crisis.
Because there just aren't enough homes to go around.
You may have seen this ad on your television or social media feeds.
You're left feeling like you missed out. But there are straightforward solutions.
Or promoted by paid influencers.
And affordable homes help to create economic opportunity.
They describe the housing scarcity in Utah and tell viewers,
see how you can help to make homes more affordable in Utah at demandmoresupply.com.
We were together one day and we were talking about the issues that our state is facing.
This is the man leading the Demand More Supply campaign. He's Matt Lusty, Executive Director of Utah Workforce Housing Advocacy, or UWHA.
And we felt like the most important issue right now is housing affordability.
In 2024, the Utah Legislature gave UWHA $1 million to conduct a survey related to housing affordability, run that statewide advertising campaign, and make policy proposals.
The vast majority of Utahns understand we're in a major housing crisis.
We showed the campaign to Utahns on Gallivan Plaza. Did you learn anything about housing in that video?
Not too much, just questions.
I didn't hear much on what the solution was for that.
Just build
in
more
that
houses.
article. Yeah.
No, I think we've been hearing for years that there's low inventory and that's driving up demand.
We went into the creation of Utah Workforce Housing Advocacy knowing that housing affordability was a problem. But we did not initially think, oh, this is just a supply issue.
So you're saying it was only through the surveys or research that you discovered that there was a supply problem?
Yeah, that's right.
But we looked at the original funding request from the sponsor, Riverton Republican Senator Dan McKay. The proposal doesn't say anything about investigating why housing is expensive. Instead, it says the target audience is the people of Utah to understand and appreciate efforts to supply housing. This could be done by increasing housing units. After conducting surveys, the recommendations published by UWHA include changing zoning laws, providing tax incentives, and finding, quote, surplus public land, end quote, to build on. There's no discussion of, for example, price controls or giving money directly to buyers or renters. UWHA acknowledges smaller, more affordable homes can ease the shortage, but the group also defends luxury homes and recommends policymakers, quote, help Utahns understand that even luxury housing plays a role in increasing housing, end quote. One recommendation says to expect arguments about increased traffic and overcrowding from new developments. The recommendation says to focus on families that will be helped by creating more housing.
We need to be careful about saying, yeah, you know what, we do have a housing affordability problem, but why don't you take that to another city? Why don't you go to another community to build that?
One of those other cities is the Davis County community of Clinton. Here, west of Clinton, is an example where Lusty says the developer met all the legal requirements to build, and many residents still said no.
So it's not really in opposition to the development, but rather the layout of the development.
Adam Larson and other Clinton residents tried to force a referendum on whether to rescind a 2024 city council decision to approve a mixed-use development here.
So we really wanted to slow down the process, get more public input, and hopefully modify the development to include more single-family housing and less multifamily.
Larson has filed a lawsuit asking a referendum be put to voters in Clinton. That litigation has paused the development. Neither UWHA nor the Demand More Supply campaign are parties in the suit. But if a community, through the democratic process, says it doesn't want a particular development, should there really be a state-funded public service campaign to tell them they're wrong?
The communities get to decide that. All we are doing is running an education and outreach campaign saying supply is a major issue in Utah.
I feel like it's more propaganda pushing the agenda of the state and the state lawmakers.
UWHA isn't some long-established public service group. It incorporated just weeks before the 2024 Utah legislative session began. And while the state of Utah typically has processes for state business, such as bidding for contracts, UWHA did not have to compete against other bidders. Its money was approved by the legislature.
So once again, the request for appropriation was focused on education and outreach.
But you pitched the request for appropriation, right?
Right.
And this wasn't like someone at the legislature thought of it first. Senator McKay, who made that original funding request, works in real estate development. He did not return Fox 13's messages asking for an interview. All 6 members of the UWHA Executive Board are real estate developers, have represented developers, or work in lending. Lusty works in politics, running election campaigns for Governor Spencer Cox and other Republicans. According to the UWHA's financial reports, the state paid Lusty's firm, Honey Communications, at least $75,000 the first year. Before that first year was even finished, the Utah Legislature gave UWHA another $1 million to continue its work and the Demand More Supply ads.
But many don't want to deal with construction in their neck of the woods.
Should have spent $2 million on building houses.
There's a million places $2 million could go, whether it's to teachers, education, police, fire.
Can you point to one house that has been built as a result of your campaign so far?
That's a great question. So to say, can you point to one house? What I would say is, I would point to the overall discussions happening in the state.
UWHA now has nonprofit status with the IRS, and Lusty says his organization is now raising private money to support the Demand More Supply campaign. In Clinton, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.